Tonight we'll go back in time to seasons past when 22 men graced the rugged fields of yesterday, fighting for one more first down, one more yard gain, one final score that would bring victory after 60 minutes of battle on the gridiron. Tonight we'll explore the world of Gridiron Greats. Welcome to Gridiron Greats Football History and its Memorabilia on the Sports History Network in conjunction with Swick Enterprises, and we're live from the Southport, North Carolina home of Gridiron Greats Magazine. I'm Bob Swick, publisher and editor of Gridiron Greats Magazine. I'll be your host for the show. Gridiron Greats is the only publication in America that focuses upon the history and memorabilia of the North American football game since its inception in 1869. We cover 150 plus years of football history and memorabilia. You can find us on the web at Gridiron Greats Magazine. It is at this time I'd like to introduce my co-host, the senior contributing writer to Gridiron Greats Magazine, a football memorabilia historian, specializing in pre-World War II items, in particular Red Grange, and also Seattle Seahawk items, in particular Steve Largent. He hails from Portland, Oregon, Mr. Joe Squires. Joe, welcome to the show.
Good to be back.
Happy New Year. We're entering a new year of podcasts, and our latest issue, number 91, is out. For those subscribers, it's in the mail. Hopefully some of you've got it already. Our online subscribers have gotten it. I got very nice feedback from several people on some of the articles, and it's out on the limited newsstands and dealers who sell it at their stores. So hopefully pick up a copy. If you're not a subscriber, what are you waiting for?
By the way, I've never asked you what newsstands and stores do you sell it at? I would imagine that local to you, right?
Yeah, we there's several dealers in New England who still sell it in their shops and at the shows that they do. And then we're also limited at a couple of actual train station facilities along the Amtrak corridor.
Wow.
So we sell it, I believe it's only like 2 or 3 now for over the counter sales.
Yeah.
Again, seeing what a daily newspaper costs now in some parts of the country, which is $5 and $6, $10 for your issue of Gridiron Greats is a steal. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a steal. But we're going to start off today. We're in the heart of the profitable NFL playoff season. And as I almost had to buy a new television set, the debacle.
Sorry about that, Captain.
Nights ago of the Chicago Bears with no love head coach Johnson beating the deer in the headlight head coach Matt LaFleur injured Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. It
was a debacle from the second half on. And, something said to me, I mean, I've watched football all my life. I watched, I don't know how many Packer games over the years. When they came out and they went 3-0, I just said, this does not look good. This looks like this is going to be bad. And it played out to a T. So.
They tried to come back. I saw that too. That first 3-and-out was absolutely like quick 3-and-out. Didn't get much. I mean, it was just like, wow, that I mean, come on, at least, yeah, give it the old college try, But
I mean, it was just pathetic. And the one thing I've noticed now in several big games, for some reason, Jordan Love makes mistakes, which he doesn't normally make mistakes. And number 2, the defense, for whatever reason, as much as they keep them in the game, they make enough mistakes like penalties, so on and so forth, to cost them the game.
Yeah.
So I think it was a combination of 2 big factors there. Both the offense and the defense just weren't prepared coming out in the second half.
Yeah. That personal foul.
Right.
To get the pack down, first and goal. I mean, I get that too. That was tough because but before that, you're playing for the tie. You're playing for overtime, and then a personal foul comes up, and next thing you know, it's first and goal on the 1. I mean,
Yeah.
and you're playing behind. I mean, and the minute they punched it in, I mean, yeah, the Packers were winning there. It's 27-24. The
Yeah.
defense told them, "Can you play for overtime?" Yeah, and then next thing you know, you're playing behind the gun. It was tough. I felt for you. 3,000 miles away, I felt for you.
It was just really a really poorly played second half. And I don't know if it was a combination of total overconfidence in the first half because they got the three scores. But the one thing that bothered me in the first half was that first missed field goal.
Yeah,
So okay, so if you had scored that field goal, now you're at 24-3. Now you're full three possession that you're ahead, and you might have been able to hold it off, and you might have been able to sneak the 3-point win. At the same time, again, if our kicker had not missed the two field goals and one,
yeah. You can't do that though. The play that you know that's the game's played differently when you're behind by that. I mean, you know, they would have been playing for the touchdown instead of. There's just so many different sliding doors that
right?
happen with missed field goals and stuff. I mean, but I hear you. I mean, it's tough. I mean, but at least I'm going to throw out a couple things. You weren't a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Yeah, yeah,
Your ex-girlfriend Aaron Rodgers came out and laid an egg.
yeah. And
Uh,
I felt sorry for Rodgers. I mean,
yeah,
I saw the press conference this morning, and I felt bad for the guy because I realized, he knows it's over,
yeah.
and he's got to hang it up type of thing, and
Head,
it's bitter.
walking into the locker room after the game, head down,
Yeah,
didn't talk to anyone, nothing, just walked right into the locker room.
yeah. So he knew it was over, but and I get it too. He could have gone out with a victory. He could have gone out 3 seasons ago, really on the top with the Packers and had a pure career as far as I'm concerned. But again, playing in front of 80,000 people, as you always say, is a very, very strong,
Hell
uh,
of a drug.
strong grip on you when you can't say I'm done. That's what it really comes down. I can't say I'm done. I got another season in me. I got another season. I got another
Yeah,
season. And again, the 2 years with the Jets were just a total waste of time.
yeah,
And the Steelers, he showed some signs of life.
yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do it. So
Well, not much of that is the want to play. I mean, if you spent your entire life at that level, when he was at, when he was in, at Cal, and
yeah,
then obviously, I mean, when you've spent the majority of your life playing at that high level, you want to keep it going.
right,
Then there's
right.
also, being paid $25 million or whatever it is, that certainly can't hurt. I don't know. It's interesting, but
I
uh,
I I feel bad for Rodgers. I do feel bad for the Packers. The excuses are every which way, but LaFleur was really ripped by online Packer chat rooms, so on and
yeah,
so forth. And I really did not like in any way, shape, or form what Johnson did in the locker room afterwards with the profanity laced tirade against the Packers. That's why I
absolutely.
said in our VFC chat room, you know, Hallis and Lombardi respected each other. They may not have liked each other. They respected each other. Hallis would not have done that in the locker room. Lombardi never did that to anybody in the locker room.
Yeah.
And
There
again,
weren't 1,000 cameras, everybody walking around with a camera and a camcorder back then either. I mean, who knows? But you're absolutely right. I mean, we were talking about that in our chat, but you have to have a respect for the team. The Packers have been plagued by injuries. I mean, how many games did they lose in the last 5 or 6 of the year? I think you threw that out.
in a row at the end. I mean, they just collapsed at the end of the year. So I'm saying they're limping into the playoffs. They do traditionally play well against Chicago, although this year they split it 1-1.
Yeah.
But at the same time, okay, you won the game. You're psyched. To me, if I was the Ram player, seeing what Johnson did, and I was the head coach, and you know who the head coach of the Rams is, he's going to use that as fire to get his guys going. I don't want to see this happening after the game. We're going to go and we're going to win in Chicago, and we can win in Chicago. You know, that
Chicago's a good team though too. They're the number 2 seed. I mean, what's funny is I was thinking about this. The Steelers uh, have one thing in common, and it's that they've been let down by both of our ex-quarterbacks,
yeah, that's true.
Danger Russ Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Kind of funny.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, ex-Oregon Duck quarterback Bo Nix, laid a goose egg up against your, New England Patriots. Patriots didn't look as shiny as they should be, but did pretty good, 16-3. Great defense.
The other game I was surprised, which I was watching down here because I'm actually in Jaguars country when nobody else is on, was the Bills Jaguars game. And I'm happy for our Bills people from the magazine, Greg Tratner and Gary Cobb and a few others. But I was kind of surprised that the Jaguars let it go like that. I really thought they were playing at home. They looked really good this year. I did watch a lot of the Jaguar games this year, and they looked very good. They looked like they were their team of the future.
Yeah.
Next year they're going to do really well, and
Yeah.
I think they surprised everybody this year. But I also think Trevor Lawrence is a very good quarterback at the same time.
Yeah.
He's very
more weapons, and they're good. I mean, just an experienced Josh Allen comes into town, and I don't know. That one, like you said, it seemed like they ran out of gas a little bit towards the end and just let it slip through their hands. I mean, it's 4 quarters. It's solid. Yeah. And speaking of Bo Nix, he used to play for Oregon Ducks. Oregon Ducks lost in a great way. Against Indiana, who obviously is going to go on and win the BCS championship. They're going to beat Miami. Man, I was expecting Oregon. We had a nice little party at our house, and I was expecting Oregon. Hard to beat good teams twice, is what I kept muttering under my breath. Man, came out, spotted them a quick 7 with a pick 6 on the first play of the game. Marched down the field, took 5-6 minutes, scored a touchdown. I'm like, okay, here it is. And then it just started slipping away. He was 49 to something.
Yeah.
People started leaving at my house. And then it hit 56 while I was making another martini. Sorrow, and off we go. At least I have this Saturday to look forward to. I pulled an injury report just out of curiosity. Let me get rid of this. Or my camera has a hard time working unless I'm just wrong thing. Where is that injury? Oh, sorry, I don't have it. I'm not going to share this, but George Kittle. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I can share this. We have the technology, you know what I mean?
We're high tech.
Yeah.
We're a high tech podcast now.
All right. So here's what I found. And look at this injury report. I feel bad because Nick Bosa, George Kittle tore his Achilles in this game. Class act. So, and you look at this, and I mean, the Seahawks handled the 49ers handily at home 2 weeks ago. And now they're coming up to Seattle where it gets noisy. And, no Bosa, no Kittle. That's a tough read. Broncos, I mean, Bears there, not bad. Not bad on the Donkos. Matthew Stafford, did you see his finger? He hit it on someone's helmet. Man, that looked ugly. When you hit your hand on something hard enough to break the skin, bleed, that's a crushing, that's a crushing boo-boo. So not bad. Injuries will definitely play a role in the games coming up this weekend, the divisional round.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see what happens on any given Thursday, Saturday, or Monday.
Doesn't quite roll off the tongue.
The profitable National Football League marches on.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Bob.
It's all right.
Sorry about your pack. Next year, And Oregon Ducks will be back next year. And now it's a matter of who's going to face the Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
I'm an eternal optimist. One day, the Packers will have another Lombardi-type coach with a Lombardi-type team, and they will win and go forward. And that's it. And we're spoiled, too, because we have Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers for how many years?
The Packers have always had good quarterback. I mean, in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been, Brett Favre. Yeah. I mean, you've had a great quarterback.
So to me, we just had the wandering years of 72 to 92. We had a couple, we had Lynn Dickey, we had the Magic, Dan Majinkowski. It was to me a great player, great quarterback, but he had weak lines that he played with, and couldn't put it together. Is what it is. All right, our special guest is here tonight, and I would like to introduce him. He's well known to our audience because he was.
If you feel a little deja vu from our last show.
For our last show in 2025. He's a retired high school principal and former football coach. He's a member of the Pro Football Researchers Association, has authored articles for the Coffin Corner, Gridiron Greats magazine, and some coaching magazines. He's published one book on high school administration. He lives with his wife, Joan, in California. I'd like to welcome back again Mr. Ben Carpenter to our show. Ben, thanks for coming back.
Thank you, guys. I had a lot of fun last time. If I get too wound up, you got to slow me down. Just say stop, and I'll slow down.
I like the energy. It gets me going here. I'm kind of a laid back person, so I don't have a lot of emotion one way or the other. So
Ben, Bob and I usually call each other after the show for kind of a post-mortem, what we can fix and stuff. And you're that guest that after, when we were talking, I'm like, man, that guy, I mean, your excitement is contagious. I mean, it really is. And that is hard. You can't fake that. And that's what we talked about, where it's just like, what a great guest. I mean, sometimes you hit the finish line at the end of the show and you're just like, that. I can't believe that was an hour. It's just, it was great. It was good. It was great enough that Bob asked you to come on back.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
All right. So I was going to say, we got an overview of your collection last show. We're going to do this show, and then down the road, as we talked about prior to the show, and through your email there, you're going to give us a little tour of everything you have there, and you're going to be describing things more in detail, which I think will be very, very interesting for our audience, because you do have some non-book items, which are very, very nice from what I saw in that preliminary piece you sent us. So again, I'm going to start off this segment of our show with you. We're going to try to look at some of your vintage books and talk about your pre-1939 collection and some of the early histories of the game that you have in book form. So I'm basically going to hand off to you, and we're going to interject a few comments here and there as we go along. So it's the ball's to you, Ben.
Okay, thanks. Well, Joe asked a question last time about, do I ever write in the margins of my books and go back and reread them? And Joe, the answer to that, because I didn't answer it, there is one book that I have written in the margins. And you know this guy, Tim Brown. I found this book, and I will tell you, if you just want a great history of the game, this is probably one of. I've got that in my my Amazon basket.
I'll see your Timothy Brown book, and I'll raise you a Timothy Brown book.
But this is one. It's just got so much unique, interesting information, and just for research purposes, I've written in the margins. But it's the only one I've done that. So
okay, yeah. I have a habit of underlining cool things, highlighting, writing notes. Sometimes I'll write the date, like where I am. Hey, I'm in Mexico reading this book on this date. And I just kind of, it's a time capsule, these books.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the other thing that I thought about, and we were talking about DeGrosse's bibliography, and Bob and I were estimating how many books he may have. Well, I took it out and I actually started, if they're easy, he's got them numbered. And this is 1934 when he came out with his bibliography. He's actually got 236 general football books mentioned in here.
Wow.
And he's got 68 fiction books for a total of 304 books up to 1934. But as I started going through matching what I had, he's got a bunch of books in here that are not listed. So I'm going, wait, I've got this one, I've got this one, I've got this one, and he didn't have them in there. So like Harold Sherman is one of the most prolific fiction writers. He's only got 3 Harold Sherman books in here. So all he's got listed in his for Harold Sherman are these 2 and one other. And I've got a whole stack of Harold Sherman books that are just phenomenal books. But he didn't have the internet. He didn't have this stuff that everybody else has. And then I found a book that Grobani doesn't list in his either. So they missed a few. In terms of fiction overall, which could be a whole other topic, Ralph Hickok doesn't even list fiction in his book. So Hickok, DeGrossa and Grabani do, but he doesn't. So getting into the early stuff, you asked in a previous email that you had sent, what is my oldest and rarest? I mentioned this book briefly last time we were on, and it's Tom Brown's School Days by Thomas Hughes. Now, Hughes was in England, and he went to this private school, rugby school. And when he was there, he played rugby. He published this book in 1860. And my copy is 1887. But he's got an entire chapter in this book called Rugby and Football.
Okay.
And all the terms, punt, they had, their practice ball was called a punt about. And that was what they would just kick a punt about.
Punt about, okay.
Punt about. So there's a line in there, okay, boys, hold the punt about, come down to the goal. And then they go down and get dressed for the game. But from here are the words scrummage, which became scrimmage, down, and down is actually, down just meant you got tackled. Yeah, scrummage became scrimmage, but the word down is from the guy, I'm down, he's down. So those terms kind of carried over. One thing that's pretty interesting that he mentions is the dimensions of the goalpost.
Okay.
The uprights were 14 feet apart, and the crossbar, you tell me, crossbar.
10 yards.
10 feet. Yes,
10
just
feet,
like in
10
America,
feet.
just like in the game today. Yeah. 10. So this is the earliest. Now, here's the thing about Hughes. He wrote about this, and the book became very popular in Britain and America, one of the most widely read books about for boys. And it was rugby that really, they were playing soccer, association football, but they were also playing rugby. And this was a big impetus for that. Hughes later came to the United States. He bought some land in Tennessee, about 40 miles west of Knoxville, and built a town, Rugby, Tennessee. There is actually a Rugby, Tennessee by this guy.
Wow.
So that was pretty interesting thing about Thomas Hughes. So it's one of the first mentions of football. As the game started going, they started publishing the rules and that sort of thing. And the Spalding guides kind of took over. And the Spalding guides came from the early 1800s. My earliest is in 1893. I keep it in this one. It's getting a little frail. But I've also got it.
How many pages? That's an 8.5 by 11 top loader. This doesn't have that many pages. It's probably got 30 or 40 pages. Okay. But the next year came out with a lot more. And so it's got the pictures of players, and this one's in much better condition, not as frail. This was 1894, and this one's 1901.
Correct.
A little thicker, a little more substantial.
And how's that book smell? You just fanned it. And
it smells wonderful.
Smells like your library. I hate to say it. Every time you open one of those up, just the smell of an old book hits me.
But getting into the actual history of the game wasn't that old when they started writing about it. So a lot of the books begin with the history of the game. So Camp's first book, he's got a few pages, is 1891. I talked about it last time. A few pages of history before he gets into the game. And Camp or Alonzo Stagg kind of does the same. And then in 96, Camp and Dealin, the first part of the book, of the first 17 pages, is just the history of the game.
Oh,
And then it starts getting into explanations of the game. And I think, I can only speculate they were doing this because people are picking up a book going, what is football? And then they give a brief history, and then it gets into the, why is it good for a spectator sport?
accurate is that history? I mean, they're writing it. I mean, I imagine they did their research was not too much at the time they wrote it. How accurate? Where did they get it from?
Well, Camp's history would come from what he knew of American football. His history would be of American football. But there's going to be another guy who went back pre-biblical, and he did some good stuff. I'll talk about him in a minute. But first, team history. There was a team history about Michigan football that came out in 1904. It was a paperback book, but this is a hardback book, and it's called 3 Years of Football at Dartmouth. And this guy goes back and talks about football from 1900 to 1904 at Dartmouth. Talks about the players, the games. Pretty fascinating. So this is really the first hardbound, cloth-bound book, if you will, on Harvard or on a team history.
How did you come upon that book? Because I have never heard of that book, and I've never seen that book before. And I never realized there was something that early about Ivy League football.
Well, all of the books early on were Ivy League football because that's all that was playing it. Princeton, Rutgers were the first. Yes.
Specific Ivy League team then.
Oh, yeah. I got this on eBay years ago, so long ago, I don't even know where I got it. I mean, but I'm pretty sure I got it on eBay somewhere. It's written by a guy named Ben Zatt, who had played at Dartmouth. And it says, bring the story of the seasons 01, 02, and 03. He just documented. Then Fielding Yost, I mentioned this one. This was written in 05, and he also starts out with a brief history of the game. His first chapter is the origin and development of the game. And then it gets into the prestige and popularity of American college, high school life. And he talks about it before he gets into actually the technique of playing, the technique of catching a pass. But all of these books had early history. Just about everyone starts with the history of the game. Now, this is a book that is, to me, is one of the coolest books. I think it's pretty rare. When you're looking at books, you've got scarce books. They define them as scarce. You can find them every once in a while if you're persistent. Then they've got rare books that may show up only once every, 2 or 3 years. And this is one of those rare books. It's by a guy named George Brooke, who was a coach. Now, thing about this that is so cool. It's called, there's fiction, there's historical fiction, and this is what you would refer to as didactic fiction. And it is where you have a fictitious story that is filled with true technical stuff.
Okay.
So he's a coach. It's from the coach's perspective, and he says things like, well, we brought the boys in to give a chalk talk, and then he outlines a real play with real coaching points. So this is crazy. The wishbone we think of as being part of football in the late 60s and 70s. These guys were running in 1907. They were coming out with the pass. And he's actually got one play drawn up in here where they fake to the fullback through the line. The two halfbacks go, and they bring the end around on the other side. And he's the option guy that they can pitch the ball to him. And then he's got the option to throw or pass. Wow. So they're putting in wishbone concepts with RPO concepts back in 1907. But here's the cool thing he talks about in this book. And again, this is fiction with real stuff mixed into it. Because in 1906, the passing game started. I mean, you could pass the ball, but there were a lot of restrictions on the passing game. You had to be 5 yards behind the center, and that's why they had the grids. That's why, it was a grid at one time, so that the referees could keep track of where the quarterback was when he threw the ball. So that's why they marked the field with all these squares. and you couldn't throw outside the tackles and all that. But there were penalties for incomplete passes. A pass dropped in the end zone was a touchback.
Wow.
Incomplete passes were penalties. But what they called an onside kick was different than what we call an onside kick today. So an onside kick today, you're going to do it on the kickoff, try to get it back. So, that's the rule back then was you could kick the ball to your receiver. And if he dropped it, it was just a live punt still. And it wasn't like first touching as they have it now. You could pick it up and go, and there was no penalty. So he's got plays in here where they fake a run, the quarterback turns, drops the ball, and he kicks a low kick to the receiver. I mean, it's just phenomenal stuff. They ran a bunch formation where they would put a receiver and two backs together, and they would just go down the field. The quarterback would make a fake and then punt to those guys, or kick it, and they would catch the ball, and you could advance it. They changed the rule later on that the ball had to go 20 yards before you could do that. But it's all in this book. So people, I think, dismiss fiction when it comes to football literature. Oh, it's just a story. No, it tells culture. I mean, and this book is just phenomenal in that it has real pictures of real games and stuff. But it talks about practices, getting ready for your opponent, and diagrams. This is just, I could go on. I love this book here.
That's a cool one.
Wow.
Not that big. That looks like about 120, 140 pages or so.
Yeah, let me see what we got here on this thing. It's, if the pages are even numbered, sometimes they did. Oh, here we go, 180. It's almost 200 pages.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a cool book. And you're not going to find this anywhere. I mean, I've looked and I haven't found any recently, but listed in Grobani's bibliography or DeGrosse's bibliography.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And then in 1910, Camp started coming out. Camp came out with another book. Now, this book, I didn't pay much attention until I pulled it out one day. And I looked, and it was owned by this guy. It's stamped all in there. Personally owned by Wilrich Schroeder. Personally owned by Wilrich Schroeder. So I go online and look up Wilrich Schroeder. Now, you guys would appreciate this. I know Bob would, with all his collections and museum visits and that sort of thing. Wilrich Schroeder began the Helms and.
Can you say that again, Ben? When you hold the paper up, sometimes it muffles your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. William Schroeder started the Helms Sports Museum.
Wow.
And here's a picture of him with Crazy Leg and Frank Gifford. Schroeder's in the middle. And so I'm looking through this book and I see this name stamp. This book belonged to that guy.
Wow. Wow.
So anyway, it's like, wow, that's really cool. I love the provenance on, who had the book.
Yeah.
So
do you keep that little printout? Do you keep that printout on him? I noticed it was folded in half. Do you keep that in the book?
In the book, yeah.
Okay, good. God, that's cool.
Anytime I find something on the author, the game itself, a newspaper article, it goes in the book.
You are seriously, you do so. I love the research you do on the book. That's really cool.
Thanks. No, I go through, I'll find that if I see a signature, I will research the signature in the book. I'll go, try to find out who the guy is, which is pretty cool, who owns the book. But this one, Camp came out. I got to show you this because, hang on just a sec. Okay,
we'll hold. We'll be right here, Ben.
I'm back.
Bob and I aren't going anywhere.
Okay, so this is Camp's book from I found an original advertisement for the book in a magazine. It was in from when he was advertising his book. And at the time, I think the book was only going for $2. So anyway, I like connecting things with the book. But again, he starts the book with early history, and he writes 17 pages on the early history of the game. And then he goes Football in America, 20 pages to page 9. So he's got almost 100 pages of this book dedicated just to the history of the game. before he gets into the other stuff.
I'm curious, in your collection, especially with the older books, do you have a lot of like library stamps? In other words, back, it was very popular. If you had a personal library, you developed a stamp or an emblem or like a seal you would put in your books. So I'm just curious, have you noticed a lot of them in your older books, like you're showing with that book, or?
Yes. And I don't know if this one has the seal or not, but if I come one with a seal, yes, I'll get the stickers, the book plates, they call them, with names on them. I'll get the handwriting, like it'll be written in, or like Schroeder's book where he had it stamped throughout. So yes, I do have those.
It's like a label, like a very ornate label with the name imprinted on it or whatever type of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Those are very interesting to say the least. So
they really are. And there's a lot of older ones that'll say, to Billy from Aunt Susie, 1900, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday. Those kinds of things are really cool. So you were talking about how far back the history goes. Park Davis. This guy here. Now, this book is from 1910, 11. And he is from 1911. He does an extended history from pre-biblical time. He even quotes Bible verses of guys knocking a ball around. He tells the story of 1665 when King Edward outlawed football in London because there were so many kids out there playing football in London and they had total disregard for people walking down the street. So the ball was knocking into people and it was just out of control. He banned football in London. So he goes back 750 BC.
Wow.
At the history of the game. And it's the first 120 pages. And then after that, he gets into the individual histories, Cornell versus Pennsylvania, Chicago versus Wisconsin, acts, dates, players. But the first 120 pages is just a deep history of the game, what the Greeks played, the game of Harpaston that they called it. It's just phenomenal history before we even had soccer and that other stuff.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Then I'll tell you, they started really coming out trying to educate the public. So here's Camp's book where he published this in 1911, just Football for the Spectator.
Yep.
Just to tell you how to watch. And they still write these today, like Football for Idiots, Guide to Football, and that sort of stuff. But this was just to get people doing the game, watching the game, and understanding it more. All right, you've heard of this guy, Pop Warner. His first book, 1912.
Position coaches. Yep.
There it is. That's the one.
Players, football for now. Later, he wrote Football for Coaches and Players. But his first one in 1912 was Football for Players and Coaches. And it's kind of neat. He tells them what kind of shoes to get, how to get dressed, how to wear your uniform, and that sort of thing. So just a really cool book. Old shoes, pictures of the kind of shoes you want. It's just an overall picture. And then he gets into neat.
It's probably been 15 years since I've read that. I never had the book. I read it online.
Okay.
I just felt it was just one of those I have to read. I mean, like Bob just threw out, he knew the name of it beforehand.
It's that is such a classic book.
Oh, absolutely.
And Pop Warner on top of it. So,
well, you know how Pop Warner football became Pop Warner? Why they called it Pop Warner football? Because I played.
Explain it to our audience.
Okay, so they were going to have this clinic for boys. This was back east a long time ago, and they were going to have this clinic for boys, and it was a stormy, cold night, and a bunch of coaches canceled out. Pop Warner braved the weather to go in and meet with these kids and talk to them and teach them football. Well, they were so grateful. The guys that put on this clinic for these kids were so grateful. They were in a gym that they said, "Oh, we're going to create a football league for boys, and we're going to name it after Pop Warner, who showed up to our clinic to work with our kids." So that's how Pop Warner football. That's how he got associated with Pop Warner football. 1913, another book by Herbert Reed. He played, and his position is in the book, right wing. So he was a football player. I believe he was at Harvard. He wrote a book about the game and the players, the good part of the game, the rough parts of the game, and then basically an overview of the game of football itself. Probably the first bibliography or a biography, if you will, is William Edwards' Football Days. This is a very, very thick book.
Yeah.
And it's basically the first biography. It's a memoir of his playing days. And he was at Princeton. And he was at Princeton in 1900. Well, in 1906. So this is really like the first biography of a football player.
I have heard of that book. I have never seen it though until now. So
yeah, it is very nice. I mean, it's substantial. The kind of the neat thing is the way the paper edges are not cut neatly.
Right.
And it's got that smell, Joe. It's got that smell.
What emboldens someone who's, all right, let's say he's 26, he played football for 3 or 4 years, and then a couple years after leaving college decides to write a book. What encourages him to write a book on his experience as a college football player?
I don't know. It's I think football was really starting to catch on because in the 20s, football was the national sport right there next to baseball. I mean, they were putting 80,000 people in the stand.
Yeah.
So I really think that had a lot to do with it. And it's more of a memoir, and he talks about the players and that sort of thing. So it's pretty cool. Another one here.
I like that.
Yeah. Hey, here's one that's got a cool signature in it. This is from 1919, and it's called Inside Football by Frank Kavanaugh. He was a coach. The coaches were writing a lot of these books. Here's another book from 19. It's a paperback book. And think about paperback books; they don't last very long because over the years, I mean, just a tear or a rip, and they just get destroyed. But here he's got guys. It's got some really cool pictures in it. And modern football, and they put the dash between it back then. Modern football for players and coaches.
With the dash, I love it.
And then we've got Winning Football by Roper. Again, talking about here's one: the spirit behind the team, how to be a team player and spirited, et cetera, and get the enthusiasm. And then Heisman's first book,
Principles of Football.
Principles of Football. That one came out in 22. Percy Houghton, who was the coach at Harvard.
Thought of that book in a long time. That's so good.
So you had the big name coaches that were really putting out the books. And again, how to play and football and how to watch it. So they were really just trying to educate the people. Again, American Football by Daly, how to watch the game. And
what's your thought? Were the coaches trying to write and publish a book for their own self-promotion to show that they're the industry expert? Or were they trying to educate the crowds? Or was that job security? It's like, I'm a published author on the book. I mean,
I don't know, because a lot of their books are, to educate. So, it's almost like they're drumming up, they're trying to brand their product almost. But there were just a bunch of them about that. Walter Camp, this is a cool one. Football
Without a coach. Yeah.
Well, so this was just like, you're a bunch of boys, you're sitting around, we don't have a coach, we want to play football, so how do we do this? And Howard Jones, great coach. He wrote How to Coach and Play Football again. And most of these have a little bit of history, but his jumps right in pretty much on just how to coach it, how to put your team together, the technique. And then Bob Zupke comes on the scene from Illinois.
Coach Zupke, he coached Red Grange. That's the name
Absolutely.
I'm familiar with.
And I know that you will know who Zupke's biographer was. You've got to know this, Bob.
Was that C.C. Pine?
Red Grange.
Oh, you're kidding.
Zupke's Red Grange in 1937, Grange wrote Zupke's biography.
Wow.
So
I
there
did
is a
not know
picture.
that.
There's a picture of Zupke,
Yeah.
and it is by Red Grange.
Did he
Grantland Rice wrote
the
Grantland Rice wrote the foreword to it.
Grantland? Did he ghostwrite it for Zupke, or did he write it about Zupke?
Red Grange wrote this book about Zupke. He is the author of this book.
Is flipping fascinating. I had no idea. Okay.
Joe, you better pick that up.
Zupke of Illinois by Harold E. Red Grange, with foreword by Grantland Rice.
With foreword by Grantland. Okay.
There you go.
Ghost.
There you go. I didn't know if you didn't know that or not.
I did not.
And then Rockne, of course, his coaching book. Now, Rockne was really the first coach to really write about a system, putting in a true system for running a team. He had his box system with the shift, and that's pretty much what this is. Then a real history series, I think, is this 3-volume set by Fuzzy Woodruff. It's the history of Southern football. It is these 3 volumes. They're hard to get in all 3 volumes. You kind of have to put them together. I think I lucked out, and I don't remember if I got them all at once or not. But these are from 1928. And he starts talking about how football went south. And the way football went south is these guys in the Ivy Leagues would learn the game, and then they would get a job at a Southern school. And when they got there, they said, let's start a football team. So that's where you get Georgia and Auburn as a big rivalry, because the 2 coaches got there. They knew each other. Hey, remember when we played together at Princeton or Harvard, and let's play. So that's how it gets started. But he talks about
it went south.
Yeah, it did.
That's so funny.
And so he talks about how the game spread. And then he talks about the teams with the first cheerleaders, the first he is so detailed. These are phenomenal, historic must. Now I'm kind of trying to pace myself with the time. I mentioned this last time with this is very rare, very unique. It is the Harvard playbook from 1906.
Okay.
And it's got the actual plays, it's got handwritten notes and all that sort of thing. And there's an article that actually came with it about a guy named Crane who followed Bill Reed, who was the coach. And then Bill Reed, this is not an old book, but Bill Reed wrote a diary of the 1905 football season. Phenomenal book, but this was really his playbook. This was Bill Reed's playbook.
Wow.
Not physically owned, but that I can prove, but his plays are in here. And then there's a lot of handwriting and such that goes with that. But that was pretty cool. Now, here's something that a lot of people probably don't realize. Here's my Newt Rockne newspaper in 1941. Bunch of books immediate. His death, of course, was like national news. He was a legend in America at that time.
Yeah.
And he had actually written a fiction book called The Four Winners. It's the 4 winners: the hand, the head, the hands, the foot, and the ball. And it's just a book for boys, moral, work hard, and do all that kind of stuff. And then when his plane crashed, this was kind of a little conspiracy book that came out. It's just like, what they're not telling you about Rockne's death and all that. So those kind of go together. But here was in 1 year, these 4 books on Rockne came out the year he died. So you're thinking, I'm looking at it going, all right, how did everybody run and write 4 books, or these 6 books, 5 books? And a lot of them were already in the process of being written.
Wow.
His wife, Rockne, was in the process of writing his own autobiography. His wife, Bonnie Skiles, just finished it.
Interesting.
So he had written it. She said he's dead now. She got with an author, and
I knew about that book. I did not realize all the other books came out. But I did hear the story years ago that the wife finished the book, and that's again the first time I ever saw that book.
Yep. And
Just
again, it's got the
quality.
old rough pages in it, and
Yeah.
so that I don't have. I've got a leaf of the book, but I don't have the cover. This is like the back cover, so I've got it in there. I'll preserve it as much as I can. But then a guy named Warren Brown wrote this one on Rockne, Idol of American Football, Goals, The Life of Newt Rockne by Hurt, and then Harry Struldreher, one of the Four Horsemen.
All American. Yep.
I actually didn't know how to pronounce his last name all my life.
I know you have to. I had to study it. I had to say it over again. Struldreher.
Yeah. It's like Alex Wojciechowicz.
So that's a little Newt Rockne thing going on there. Again, weigh-in. I showed you this book last week. This is the one that had the pictures that are in the book that came with the book. Great historical piece. This is one of the first books for high school football. Came out in 1926. A manual for high school football. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Then they started getting into the fundamentals of the game, stuff you don't normally think about. So this one came out in 26, and it's just on conditioning for football. How to get your team ready. It talks about wind sprints and
That's cool.
stretching. All that. It's just that part. William Roper, he wrote this one, Football Today and Tomorrow. He talks about how the game was being played, anticipating what it might look like after the forward pass develops and those sorts of things. And then again, in 27, Pop Warner came out with another book. This one is Football for Coaches and Players.
Ben, we don't even see an empty shelf behind you. You've shown us probably 60 books, and I don't even see any empty real estate behind you on the shelves. So, that cracks me up. You filled a long podcast. You didn't even have to touch the inventory.
And then here's one just on line coaching. This guy was at Notre Dame, and he showed. These guys were tough, and they talk about tackling. And here's the thing. This weekend, when you're watching games, I want you to look at, because these guys were all about fundamentals. Look, the only guys making tackles, real tackles in football games today, defensive linemen, some linebackers, and edge rusher. The DBs, they don't tackle, they just bump. And that's why you see these long plays. These guys were so into the fundamentals that this one book right here, 1930, by Frank Falkenberry. I love this book because he just goes, the only thing this book is about is the position, your stance. This book is about the stance for every, it doesn't talk about anything else. If you're a guard, you stand this way. If you're a running back, you stand this way. That's all this book about. Analysis of the stance of the end. He's got these two guys. And it breaks it down step by step.
I love that.
But you bring up a good point, because I see very little conceptual fundamentals from the game pass in today's game. I mean, these guys don't know where to line up. There's all these offsides all the time. I don't know how you can make these mistakes that they make. It's just
these drove these coaches nuts, and that's what these books are about.
Well, they're not coaching anything, in my opinion. They're just
not.
Stars on the sidelines, and that's it.
Yep.
Touchdown.
Okay.
Yep.
Touchdown by Stagg. Phenomenal book, and it's his memoir. I mean, he was there at the beginning, and he tells stories in this that you once you start reading this, you can't put it down. But you know how now a ball goes out of bounds and they mark it where it went out of bounds, the last team to touch it, that sort of thing, or possession. That wasn't the rule at one time. If the ball went out of bounds, whoever brought the ball back is the one in possession. So he tells the story that one team had a guy that was really fast. The ball went out of bounds. These guys are chasing it. They're fighting for it. And the ball got tossed up in the stands. This guy jumps over a fence. He goes up in the stands and he comes back, and they retain possession of it. Another story along that same line. There was a field. The ball somehow got fumbled, and it went to the edge of the field and rolled down a hill into the bushes. So all the players go running down in the bushes trying to find the ball. Finally, this guy, crazy.
game that is just laughable. This a bunch of people running down a hill to chase a ball.
You can't make that stuff up. But that's just the cool stuff. I'm almost done. I'm trying to fly through this because you know what? I'm just going to jump ahead because I see minutes left.
Yeah, we're down to a couple minutes. So
here's kind of a cool book. 50 years of football at Syracuse University.
All these Northeast colleges.
Wow.
Well, that's where football started.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It started. And, Alaska was the last college team to have a football team. And it lasted for 4 years. And that was it. So, and Bob, you got an article on that coming away. If you want to publish it, it's kind of an interesting, great. Anyway, 50 years of football at Syracuse from 1889 to 1939. This is a substantial book.
Wow.
It is substantial. And it's kind of rare because it was given to, like this one here, Compliments of Syracuse University Department of Athletics. And it's signed by the person in charge. So it was like a book that was given to alumni.
That's cool.
And that sort of shit, but it's got all the fascinating history. Here's one. The game was being highly criticized. It always has been. This is a player who wrote a defense of the game, Barry Wood, in Defense of Football. The good thing. Kicking the American football, Gus DeRay. He was the quarterback that threw to Newt Rockne when Army beat Notre Dame beat Navy. This book is pretty hard to find, and it's only a few pages, but it's the forward pass and its defense. This is how thick it is.
Wow.
But,
man, I haven't seen your 1 minute to play, Red Grange, yet.
Oh, let me see.
No, you don't have to get it. We don't have much time. I've got to get my obligatory Grange or Largent joke in.
And then I pointed this one out to you, the one that was owned by Harper. But this book came with supplements.
Ben, we're almost out of time. One last book, and then we'll wrap it up here.
I was just saying that this came with supplements. So this was 34. There's a supplement for 35, a supplement for 36. So, I mean, hell, I could go on. I could keep going, but I know we've got this thing called a time constraint.
Palooza 26 at Ben's house.
I know this was going to be just as good as the first show. So, I mean, this is amazing. Again, we're going to have you back on, like we said. You're going to give us a video tour of everything. And I'm looking forward to that down the road. We'll be in touch. We are basically out of time, Joe.
When you're that passionate about your hobby, man, Ben, it is contagious. Thank you.
You're welcome. I didn't think I was going to try to tone it down a little bit, but then I started to get faster and faster.
You do great, man. It's like I said, your passion is contagious.
It's a history library, in my opinion. It's just great. It's phenomenal. We're out of time. Thanks for watching. We'll be back probably next week with another show. Take care.
Thank you.